It's a familiar feeling, this tightness in my chest, like an invisible band constricting, not enough to cause pain, but enough to remind me where I stand, or more accurately, where I don't stand. It started subtly years ago, almost imperceptibly. A slightly too long pause before including me in a conversation, a polite but firm redirection of a topic when I offered an opinion, a sense that I was always on the periphery, observing but never truly part of. My wife, she's wonderful, kind, intelligent, successful in her own right, but her family, they're different, a different world really, generations of something, money, influence, connections, a world of inherited expectations and unspoken rules. I've always felt like an outsider looking in, a guest in a house where I'm not quite sure of the etiquette. I remember the first big family gathering. I tried God, how I tried. I made an effort to engage, to find common ground. I talked about my work, my interests, my background. I thought naively that shared humanity would bridge the gap. Instead, I was met with polite nods, veiled curiosity, and an underlying sense of otherness. My achievements, my passions, they were acknowledged, but never quite embraced. It was as if I was speaking a different language, and they were patiently, tolerantly listening to a child reciting a poem. Over the years, I've learned to navigate this space. I've learned to anticipate the subtle cues, the unspoken boundaries. I've become adept at the art of quiet observation, of listening more than speaking, of choosing my words with extreme care. It's a dance, a delicate balancing act, and I've become quite the accomplished dancer. But the tightness in my chest remains. And now, this, her father's retirement party, a significant event, a milestone, a celebration of his life, his career, his legacy, a legacy I've always felt adjacent to, but never truly a part of. I had, of course, assumed I would be there. Like, it's family, isn't it? My wife would be there, and therefore I would be there. A given, except it wasn't. Honey, she said the other day, her voice carefully neutral, about Dad's party. I've been thinking, that's always a loaded phrase. It might be better if you didn't come. The words hung in the air, suspended between us, heavy with unspoken meaning. Not, you're not invited, but it might be better. A gentle nudge, a polite suggestion, but with the force of a slammed door. She went on to explain something about limited space, about wanting to keep it family, about not wanting me to feel uncomfortable. All perfectly reasonable, perfectly logical, perfectly polite reasons. But beneath the surface, the message was clear. You don't belong here, not fully, not yet, maybe not ever. The tightness in my chest intensified. It wasn't anger, not really, it was a dull ache, a familiar resignation. It was the confirmation of a feeling I'd carried for years, a feeling I'd tried to ignore, to rationalize, to explain away. But here it was, laid bare, in a few carefully chosen words. I didn't argue. What was there to argue? I simply nodded, offered a weak smile, and said, okay. What else could I say? To protest would be to acknowledge the very thing they were trying to avoid, the awkwardness of my presence, the discomfort of my otherness. So I won't be going. I'll stay home, a quiet evening, a book, the muted sounds of celebration drifting from a distance, and I'll try, once again, to make peace with this feeling, this sense of being forever on the outside, looking in. It's not just the party, of course. It's a pattern woven into the fabric of my relationship with them, a pattern of being on the periphery, of being the plus one, the add-on, never quite the main event. Take the holidays, for instance, Christmas especially. In my family, Christmas was chaos, warmth, and laughter. A sprawling, boisterous gathering with cousins piled on top of each other, food overflowing every surface, and carols sung slightly off-key but with immense enthusiasm. With her family, it's curated, elegant, restrained. The tree is perfectly symmetrical, the gifts are meticulously wrapped, and conversation flows with a studied grace. I always feel a bit clumsy, a bit too loud, a bit too much. I remember one Christmas Eve, years ago. I tried to introduce a family tradition of mine, a silly, slightly competitive game involving homemade ornaments and ridiculous prizes. It was met with polite smiles, a few hesitant participants, and an overall sense that I had committed a minor social faux pas. The game was quickly abandoned, the ornaments carefully placed back in their designated spots on the tree, and the evening resumed its smooth, predictable course. I felt like a deflated balloon, my energy and enthusiasm gently but firmly extinguished. Then there were the summer vacations. Her family has a tradition of spending a week at a secluded beach house, a beautiful, sprawling place filled with light and ocean breezes. The first time I was invited, I was excited. I envisioned long days on the beach, shared meals, and bonding with her family. The reality was somewhat different. While everyone was perfectly civil, there was an unspoken hierarchy. Conversations flowed around me, inside jokes were shared, and I found myself occupying the role of the agreeable observer. I tried to contribute, to share stories, to find common interests, but my attempts often seemed to fall flat, met with a kind of patient tolerance, as if they were humoring a well-meaning but slightly out-of-place guest. Even smaller, everyday interactions carry this weight. Casual dinners at their house often feel like subtle auditions. Questions about my work are met with a particular kind of interest, the kind that seems to be assessing my suitability. My opinions on current events are listened to with an attentiveness that feels more like scrutiny than genuine curiosity. I've learned to anticipate these moments, to prepare my responses, to choose my words carefully. It's exhausting, this constant self-monitoring, this awareness of being perpetually evaluated. My wife is aware of this dynamic, I think. She tries, in her own way, to bridge the gap. She'll squeeze my hand under the table, offer an encouraging smile, or gently steer the conversation in my direction. But even her efforts, well-intentioned as they are, serve as a reminder of the divide. It's as if she's acting as a translator, a mediator between two worlds that don't quite align. Perhaps I'm being overly sensitive, perhaps I'm reading too much into these interactions, but the feeling persists, this sense of being an outsider, of being tolerated rather than truly embraced. It's a subtle thing, this exclusion. It's not overt hostility or outright rejection. It's a quiet, persistent undercurrent that runs beneath the surface of every interaction, a constant reminder that I'm not quite one of them. The thing is, I've always been a bit of a floater. Not in a negative way, I don't think. I have deep friendships, strong connections, but I've never quite fit neatly into any one box. In school, I drifted between social groups, never fully aligning with any single clique. In college, my interests spanned across disciplines, making me a bit of an anomaly among my more specialized peers. And in my career, I've carved out a path that blends different skills and passions, defying easy categorization. Maybe that's why this feels so familiar, this sense of existing in the liminal space, on the edge of belonging, but never quite at the center. It's a pattern, a recurring theme in my life. And perhaps in a way, I've become accustomed to it. I've learned to navigate these spaces, to find my footing on shifting sands. But there's a difference, isn't there, between choosing to exist on the periphery and being placed there, between self-selected solitude and imposed exclusion. With my wife's family, it's the latter. I didn't choose this role. It was assigned to me subtly, gently, but definitively. And that's what stings, I think. Not the exclusion itself, but the implication behind it. The unspoken message that I'm not quite worthy of full inclusion, that there's some invisible standard I don't meet, some inherent quality I lack. I find myself questioning at times, what is it that they see when they look at me? Do they perceive my accomplishments as less significant, my background as less refined, my personality as less compatible? What are the criteria for belonging in their world, and why do I consistently fall short? It's a dangerous path, this line of questioning. It leads to self-doubt, to insecurity, to a sense of inadequacy that can be difficult to shake. I know intellectually that my worth is not determined by their acceptance. I have my own strengths, my own values, my own unique contributions to offer the world. But emotions aren't always governed by logic. There are moments, late at night, when the silence amplifies my thoughts, and I find myself replaying past interactions, searching for clues, for evidence of this unspoken judgment. A casual remark, a fleeting expression, a subtle shift in tone. I dissect these fragments, trying to piece together a coherent narrative, a reason for why I'm always on the outside looking in. It's a futile exercise, of course. I'm trying to solve a puzzle with missing pieces, to decipher a code with no key. The truth, I suspect, is far more complex and nuanced than any single explanation I could concoct. It's a confluence of factors: family history, social dynamics, unspoken expectations, and perhaps simply a matter of personality. And maybe, just maybe, it's not entirely about me. Perhaps it's about their own limitations, their own inability to fully embrace someone who doesn't quite fit their preconceived notions of what family should be. Perhaps their world is smaller than I thought, their boundaries more rigid. In the end, I'm left with a choice. I can continue to strive for their acceptance, to expend my energy trying to prove my worth, to contort myself to fit into their mold. Or I can choose a different path. I can choose to focus on the relationships that nourish me, on the connections that celebrate me for who I am, on building a life that is authentic and fulfilling, regardless of their validation. So, where does this leave me? How do I navigate this complex terrain, this delicate balance between honoring my marriage and protecting my own sense of self? I've started by focusing on what I can control. I can't change her family. I can't force them to see me differently, but I can change how I respond. I can choose to disengage from the dynamic, to refuse to participate in the subtle game of judgment and evaluation. It's not always easy. There are moments when a careless comment or a dismissive gesture still manages to pierce my defenses, to trigger that familiar ache of exclusion. But I'm learning to recognize these moments, to acknowledge the pain without allowing it to consume me. I've also started setting boundaries, both externally and internally. Externally, this means limiting my exposure to situations where I feel most vulnerable. I still attend family gatherings, of course, but I'm more mindful of how much time I spend with certain individuals, how deeply I involve myself in family activities. I've become more comfortable with politely excusing myself, with prioritizing my own well-being. Internally, setting boundaries means cultivating a stronger sense of self-worth that is independent of their approval. It means reminding myself constantly of my own strengths, my own accomplishments, my own inherent value as a person. It means challenging those negative thoughts that creep in, those insidious whispers that tell me I'm not good enough. This has involved a conscious effort to shift my focus. Instead of dwelling on what I lack in their eyes, I'm focusing on what I have. I have a loving wife, even if her family can be challenging. I have a network of supportive friends who cherish me for who I am. I have a fulfilling career that brings me joy and a sense of purpose. I have a rich inner life, filled with passions and interests that nourish my soul. I've also begun to explore new ways of connecting with my wife's family, strategies that move beyond the well-worn grooves of our usual interactions. I've discovered shared interests with some of them: a love of hiking, a passion for a particular type of cuisine, a quirky sense of humor. These small points of connection, these moments of genuine rapport, have helped to soften the edges of my perception, to remind me that they are not a monolithic entity, but individuals with their own complexities and nuances. And my wife. We've had some difficult conversations, honest and vulnerable exchanges about the challenges I've been experiencing. It's not always easy for her to hear, to confront the reality of her family's behavior, but she's been willing to listen, to acknowledge my feelings, to work with me to find solutions. We've started creating our own traditions, rituals that are separate from her family's, celebrations that reflect our shared values and our unique bond. This has helped to create a sense of us, a sanctuary where I feel completely accepted and unconditionally loved. It's an ongoing process, this journey of navigating acceptance and belonging. There are still moments of doubt, moments of frustration, moments when I long for the ease and comfort of feeling fully included.
but I'm learning to embrace the complexity, to find strength in my own resilience, and to chart a course forward that honors both my connection to my wife and my own need for self-respect. This experience, as challenging as it has been, has undeniably changed me. It's forced me to confront uncomfortable truths about myself, about my own vulnerabilities, and about the complexities of human relationships. I've learned that acceptance isn't always a given, that belonging isn't always a birthright, and that sometimes you have to create your own sense of home. One of the most significant shifts has been in my perspective. I've moved from a place of seeking external validation to a place of valuing internal congruence. I still care about how I'm perceived by others, of course, it's human nature, but I'm no longer willing to sacrifice my authenticity for the sake of fitting in. I've come to understand that true belonging comes from being true to yourself, from honoring your own values and beliefs, even when they differ from those around you. I've also developed a greater sense of empathy. Navigating this situation with my wife's family has given me a deeper understanding of the challenges of family dynamics, the unspoken rules and expectations that can govern interactions, and the pain that can result from feeling excluded or misunderstood. This empathy has
extended beyond my immediate situation, allowing me to connect with others on a more profound level, to appreciate the diversity of human experience, and to recognize the shared longing for acceptance that unites us all. My relationship with my wife has also evolved. The difficulties we've faced have tested our bond, but they've also strengthened it. We've learned to communicate more openly, to navigate conflict more constructively, and to support each other more unconditionally. I've come to appreciate her even more deeply, her loyalty, her compassion, her unwavering belief in me. This journey has also led me to reevaluate my priorities. I've realized that life is too short to waste energy on relationships that are draining or unfulfilling. I'm now more intentional about how I spend my time, who I surround myself with, and what I invest my emotional energy in. I'm prioritizing relationships that are reciprocal, supportive, and life-affirming. I've also discovered a newfound sense of resilience. I've learned that I'm stronger than I thought, that I can weather difficult storms, and that I have the capacity to heal and grow even in the face of adversity. This resilience has given me the confidence to embrace new challenges, to step outside my comfort zone, and to pursue my goals with greater determination. The process of redefining my place in my wife's family has been a catalyst for personal growth. It hasn't been easy, and the journey is far from over. There will likely be more moments of discomfort, more instances where I feel like an outsider, but I now have the tools, the perspective, and the inner strength to navigate those moments with greater grace and equanimity. Ultimately, I've come to believe that this experience, while painful, has been a gift. It has forced me to grow in ways I never imagined, to develop a deeper understanding of myself and others, and to cultivate a life that is more authentic, more meaningful, and more aligned with my true self. And for that, I am grateful. The path forward involves integrating this experience into a broader understanding of self. Acknowledging the complexities of family dynamics, including both the capacity for love and the potential for pain, is crucial. This integration allows for a more nuanced perspective, one that recognizes that relationships are rarely perfect and that challenges are inevitable. A key aspect of moving forward is establishing healthy boundaries. This involves clearly defining limits in interactions with family members, asserting needs, and protecting emotional well-being. Boundaries are not about creating distance or severing ties, but rather about fostering healthier and more sustainable relationships. Self-compassion plays a vital role. Recognizing that navigating difficult family situations is inherently challenging and that feelings of hurt, anger, or sadness are valid is essential. Treating oneself with kindness and understanding, rather than self-criticism, facilitates healing and promotes emotional resilience. Forgiveness, both of others and of oneself, is a significant step. This does not necessarily mean condoning harmful behavior, but it does involve releasing resentment and bitterness that can hinder personal growth. Forgiving oneself for past reactions or perceived shortcomings is equally important in moving forward. Seeking support from outside the family can be invaluable. This might involve talking to a therapist, counselor, trusted friend, or support group. External perspectives can provide validation, offer coping strategies, and help to process emotions in a safe and non-judgmental space. Focusing on personal growth and well-being becomes a priority. This includes engaging in activities that bring joy and fulfillment, nurturing healthy relationships with supportive individuals, and pursuing goals that align with personal values. The emphasis shifts from changing the family dynamic to cultivating a fulfilling life independent of those dynamics. Developing a sense of detachment while maintaining connection is a delicate but important balance. This involves learning to observe family interactions without becoming overly involved or reactive. It's about recognizing that one cannot control the behavior of others, but one can control one's own responses and choices. The concept of redefining family may emerge. For some, this might mean creating a chosen family of friends or other supportive individuals who provide a sense of belonging and unconditional acceptance. It's about recognizing that family is not solely defined by blood relations, but also by the quality of connection and support. Ultimately, moving forward is about embracing the lessons learned, making conscious choices about relationships, and creating a future that prioritizes personal well-being and authenticity. It's a process of healing, growth, and self-discovery, leading to a greater sense of inner peace and empowerment. The pursuit of peace following conflict becomes a central focus. This involves a multifaceted journey of self-discovery, requiring introspection and a willingness to confront difficult emotions. The experience can serve as a catalyst for significant personal transformation, leading to a deeper understanding of one's values, needs, and priorities. One aspect of this journey is the re-evaluation of relationships. Conflict often exposes underlying patterns and dynamics that may have been previously overlooked. This can lead to a conscious decision to cultivate healthier connections based on mutual respect, empathy, and open communication. It may also involve a process of detaching from relationships that are consistently draining or harmful. Self-reflection plays a crucial role in finding peace. This involves examining one's own role in the conflict, acknowledging any contributions to the situation, and identifying areas for personal growth. It's about taking responsibility for one's own actions and reactions, rather than solely blaming others. Emotional processing is essential. Conflict can trigger a range of intense emotions, such as anger, sadness, guilt, and fear. Allowing oneself to feel these emotions rather than suppressing them is a vital step towards healing. This process may involve journaling, talking to a therapist, or engaging in other forms of creative expression. The development of coping mechanisms is necessary. Learning healthy ways to manage stress, regulate emotions, and navigate difficult interactions becomes a priority. This might include practicing mindfulness, engaging in regular exercise, or developing relaxation techniques. A shift in perspective often occurs. Conflict can narrow one's focus, making it difficult to see beyond the immediate situation. With time and distance, a broader perspective can emerge, allowing for a more balanced understanding of the events and their impact. The search for meaning and purpose may intensify. Difficult experiences can prompt a deeper exploration of one's values and what truly matters in life. This can lead to a realignment of priorities and a renewed commitment to living in accordance with one's authentic self. Self-acceptance is a key component of finding peace. This involves embracing one's imperfections, acknowledging past mistakes, and recognizing that personal growth is an ongoing process. It's about cultivating a sense of self-worth that is not dependent on external validation or approval. The journey towards peace is not always linear. There may be setbacks, moments of doubt, and periods of renewed struggle. However, each step forward contributes to a greater sense of inner strength, resilience, and emotional well-being. Ultimately, finding peace after conflict is a transformative process that can lead to profound self-discovery and a more fulfilling life. It's about emerging from the experience with a deeper understanding of oneself and the world, and with the tools to navigate future challenges with greater wisdom and grace. The impact of conflict extends far beyond the immediate situation, shaping long-term effects on individuals and their future relationships. These effects can manifest in various ways, influencing emotional well-being, behavioral patterns, and the capacity for healthy connections. One significant consequence involves emotional scarring. Unresolved or poorly managed conflict can lead to lasting feelings of anger, resentment, and bitterness. These emotions can become deeply ingrained, affecting an individual's overall mood, outlook on life, and ability to trust others. The experience may contribute to the development of anxiety, depression, or other mental health challenges. Behavioral patterns can also be influenced. Individuals who have experienced significant conflict may develop defensive mechanisms, such as avoidance, withdrawal, or aggression. These patterns, initially adopted as a means of self-protection, can become habitual and interfere with the ability to engage in open and honest communication in future relationships. The capacity for healthy relationships can be compromised. Conflict within the family can distort an individual's understanding of what constitutes a healthy relationship. They may struggle with intimacy, have difficulty setting appropriate boundaries, or be prone to repeating unhealthy dynamics from their past. This can create a cycle of relationship difficulties that extends into adulthood. Intergenerational patterns may emerge. The ways in which conflict is handled within a family can be passed down from one generation to the next. Individuals may unconsciously replicate the communication styles, conflict resolution strategies, or dysfunctional patterns they witnessed in their own families of origin. This can perpetuate a cycle of conflict and relational challenges. Resilience and growth are also possible outcomes. While conflict can have negative consequences, it can also serve as a catalyst for personal growth and the development of resilience. Successfully navigating conflict, particularly with support and self-reflection, can foster greater self-awareness, emotional maturity, and coping skills. Future relationships can be approached with greater caution or wisdom. Individuals who have experienced significant conflict may enter future relationships with a heightened sense of awareness and a stronger commitment to healthy communication. They may be more attuned to potential red flags, more willing to address issues proactively, and more skilled at resolving disagreements constructively. The development of empathy and compassion can be enhanced. Experiencing conflict and the pain it can cause can foster a deeper understanding of the emotions and perspectives of others. This can lead to greater empathy, compassion, and a stronger desire to create harmonious and supportive relationships. A conscious effort to break negative cycles is often required. Recognizing the potential long-term effects of conflict, individuals may need to make a conscious effort to break negative cycles and cultivate healthier patterns. This may involve seeking therapy, attending workshops, or actively practicing new communication and conflict resolution skills. Ultimately, the long-term effects of conflict are complex and varied. While the experience can have lasting consequences, it can also be a catalyst for growth and positive change. The choices made in the aftermath of conflict and the support systems available play a significant role in shaping an individual's future relationships and overall well-being. The process of healing from conflict and building resilience is a complex journey, requiring a multifaceted approach that addresses emotional, psychological, and social dimensions. It involves not only recovering from the immediate pain, but also developing the capacity to navigate future challenges with greater strength and wisdom. A crucial aspect of healing involves acknowledging and processing the emotional impact of the conflict. This necessitates creating a safe space to experience and express feelings such as sadness, anger, fear, and grief. Suppressing these emotions can hinder the healing process and lead to long-term difficulties. Self-compassion plays a vital role. Individuals may be inclined to self-blame or self-criticism in the aftermath of conflict. Cultivating self-compassion involves treating oneself with kindness, understanding, and acceptance, recognizing that suffering is a common human experience. Developing coping mechanisms is essential for managing the distress associated with conflict. This may involve a range of strategies, including mindfulness practices, relaxation techniques, physical exercise, and creative expression. Identifying and utilizing healthy coping mechanisms can help individuals regulate their emotions, reduce stress, and improve their overall well-being. Building a strong support system is critical. Connecting with supportive family members, friends, or community resources can provide individuals with a sense of belonging, validation, and encouragement. Sharing experiences with others who have gone through similar situations can also be beneficial. Reframing the narrative surrounding the conflict can aid in the healing process. This involves examining the events from different perspectives, identifying any positive lessons learned, and constructing a new understanding of the experience that empowers the individual. Forgiveness, both of oneself and others, can be a powerful step towards healing. While forgiveness does not mean condoning harmful behavior, it can release individuals from the burden of resentment and anger, allowing them to move forward with greater freedom. Cultivating resilience is an ongoing process that involves developing inner strength and adaptability. This can be achieved through various strategies, such as setting realistic goals, developing problem-solving skills, fostering a positive outlook, and building self-confidence. Engaging in activities that promote well-being is essential. This may include pursuing hobbies, spending time in nature, practicing gratitude, and engaging in acts of kindness. These activities can enhance mood, reduce stress, and foster a sense of purpose and meaning. Seeking professional help can be invaluable for individuals who are struggling to heal from conflict. Therapists can provide guidance, support, and evidence-based interventions to address the emotional, psychological, and relational consequences of conflict. Ultimately, healing from conflict and building resilience is a personal journey that requires time, patience, and self-care. By acknowledging the impact of the conflict, developing healthy coping mechanisms, building supportive relationships, and cultivating inner strength, individuals can move forward, heal, and create a more positive future. Conflict, while often perceived negatively, can be a catalyst for significant personal and relational growth. By reframing our understanding of conflict and developing effective strategies for navigating it, we can transform challenging interactions into opportunities for positive change. One key aspect is recognizing that conflict is inevitable. Differences in perspectives, values, and needs are inherent in human interaction. Rather than attempting to avoid conflict altogether, a more constructive approach involves accepting its presence and developing the skills to manage it effectively. Conflict can serve as a catalyst for self-reflection. When faced with opposing viewpoints, individuals are prompted to examine their own beliefs, assumptions, and behaviors. This process of introspection can lead to greater self-awareness, a deeper understanding of one's values, and the identification of areas for personal growth. Communication skills can be enhanced through conflict. Engaging in difficult conversations requires individuals to articulate their thoughts and feelings clearly, listen actively to others' perspectives, and strive for mutual understanding. These skills, honed through conflict, can improve communication in all areas of life. Problem-solving abilities are often developed during conflict. Disagreements can create a need to find creative solutions that address the concerns of all parties involved. This process of collaborative problem solving can lead to innovative outcomes and strengthen the ability to work effectively with others. Conflict can foster greater intimacy and connection in relationships. Successfully navigating disagreements can build trust, deepen understanding, and create a sense of shared vulnerability. By working through conflict constructively, individuals can strengthen their bonds and create more resilient relationships. Personal resilience can be built through conflict. Overcoming challenges and finding solutions in the face of adversity can enhance an individual's ability to cope with future difficulties. Each successfully navigated conflict contributes to a growing sense of self-efficacy and inner strength. Empathy and compassion can be cultivated through conflict. By listening to and attempting to understand the perspectives of others, even when they differ from one's own, individuals can develop a greater sense of empathy and compassion. This can lead to more fulfilling and harmonious relationships. Conflict can drive positive change in systems and organizations. When disagreements are addressed constructively, they can highlight areas that need improvement, stimulate innovation, and lead to more effective and equitable practices. A shift in mindset is often necessary to utilize conflict for growth. This involves moving away from a view of conflict as a win-lose situation and embracing a more collaborative approach that seeks mutually beneficial outcomes. Ultimately, the ability to harness conflict for growth depends on a willingness to engage in open communication, practice empathy, and view disagreements as opportunities for learning and connection. By embracing this perspective, individuals can transform conflict from a source of pain into a catalyst for positive change in their lives and relationships.